on the territory of Treaty Number 4 and in the homeland of the Métis. It is always an honor to visit Depot, the place where every Mountie begins. I've had the frequent privilege to be here for graduation exercises as brand new cadets take their oaths, receive their badges, and become full-fledged members of the most storied police force in the world. Il est impressionnant et inspirant de rencontrer des jeunes femmes et des jeunes hommes de tous les horizons, de toutes les couleurs, de toutes les croyances, qui proviennent des quatre coins du Canada et qui ont décidé d'être au service de leur pays en tant qu'agents de la gendarmerie. Ils ont fait le choix de risquer leur vie tous les jours pour protéger les Canadiens et préserver nos droits et nos libertés. It's a tough job and a dangerous job, the highest calling of public service. Unique in all the world, the RCMP shoulders enormous responsibilities. It's the local municipal police force in 150 Canadian communities and for many, many First Nations. It's the provincial police force in 8 provinces and 3 territories. It's our federal police force everywhere, including national security. It provides national support services to every other police force in Canada. And it's Canada's link to Interpol, international policing, and police operations in peacekeeping. At its best, the RCMP embodies what Canada and Canadians aspire to be: upstanding, loyal, and committed to the pursuit of justice, and all in an operating culture that is safe, professional, competent, proud, honest, gender-balanced, respectful, diverse, and inclusive. That being said, internal challenges like abuses of power, allegations of racial bias, infringements on civil liberties, bullying, and workplace harassment have harmed the RCMP's reputation and damaged the morale of its members. Those members are the backbone. They are the heart and soul of the force. And think what they mean to Canada. Think of the 5 young Mounties who stopped the shooting spree in La Loche. Think of the officers who organized the evacuation of Fort McMurray, even while their own houses were burning down. Think of the members who have ensured that every Canadian law is enforced and every international obligation is respected in the midst of an unprecedented flow of asylum seekers at our border. Think of the officers who identified and stopped Aaron Driver before he could attack Union Station in Toronto. Think of Merithorpe and Moncton. The RCMP deserve the strongest possible leadership to support them, to inspire them, to challenge them, to position them for success. Le GRC a droit au leadership le plus rigoureux possible pour soutenir ses membres, pour les inspirer et les mettre au défi, et pour les mettre sur la voie du succès.
To put them on the path to success.
And that is why we are here today, to reinforce the very best of the RCMP and to support the force through a period of transformation, to modernize and reform its culture, to make its workplace safe and free from harassment, to enhance its role in reconciliation, and to bolster the efficacy, the credibility, and the trust upon which its authority depends. Ladies and gentlemen, Mesdames et Messieurs, the Prime Minister of Canada, the Right Honourable Justin Trudeau.
Merci, Ralph. Bonjour à
Thank
tous.
you, Ralph. Good
Merci
morning,
d'être
everyone,
ici.
and thank you all for being
It's
here.
great to be back in Saskatchewan, and I'm especially happy to be back at Depot Division this morning. The last time I was here was January of last year, when I had a chance to meet with some of the cadets over breakfast. Spending time with these young women and men, seeing how focused and committed they are, was a great experience. Ce qu'ils m'ont raconté m'a rappelé à quel point ils travaillent fort et les sacrifices qu'ils font pendant leur entraînement. Tous les cadets qui sont ici, sauf ceux qui sont originaires de Regina, ont dû quitter leur communauté pour pouvoir venir suivre leur entraînement ici, laissant parfois leurs parents, leurs conjoints ou leurs enfants chez eux. Ils ont quitté leur communauté afin de suivre un entraînement particulièrement difficile pendant 26 semaines, en espérant le réussir et devenir les nouveaux membres de la Gendarmerie royale du Canada. Je n'exagère pas lorsque je dis que l'avenir de la GRC, et par extension la sûreté et la sécurité de tous les Canadiens, repose sur la qualité de l'entraînement que les cadets reçoivent ici. Il faut être une personne exceptionnelle pour mériter la tunique rouge et il faut un leader exceptionnel pour faire en sorte qu'un endroit comme la division Depot fonctionne de façon efficace. For the past year and a half, the exceptional person in charge of Depot has been Assistant Commissioner Brenda Lucki. As commanding officer of Depot, Assistant Commissioner Lucki has been focused on ensuring that cadets receive the best possible training, including diversity training, so that when they receive their field placements, they are ready to investigate crimes, enforce the law, and keep our communities safe and secure. From the day that she chose the RCMP, Assistant Commissioner Lucki has made it her mission to serve the public. She's known for being a hard worker, a dedicated officer, and someone who is constantly looking for ways to improve the status quo. Pendant ses presque 32 ans avec la GRC, elle a servi dans des divisions du Québec, de l'Ontario, du Manitoba, de l'Alberta et de la Saskatchewan. Elle a travaillé auprès des Nations Unies dans l'ancienne Yougoslavie. Elle a contribué à la formation et à la sélection des unités de police affectées à la mission de police civile de l'ONU en Haïti. Elle a enseigné dans le cadre du programme de sciences politiques appliquées ici, à l'école de la GRC. La commissaire adjointe Lucki a reçu de nombreuses décorations pour l'excellence de son travail. Plus particulièrement, elle a été reçue membre de l'Ordre du Mérite des corps policiers en reconnaissance de son travail pour améliorer les relations entre les communautés autochtones et la GRC dans le nord du Manitoba. En raison de ses accomplissements et j'en passe, j'ai l'immense plaisir de présenter Brenda Lucki, nouvelle commissaire désignée de la Gendarmerie royale du Canada. When she takes her new post this April, she will be the 24th commissioner in the RCMP's history and the first woman to serve as commissioner in a permanent role. As head of the RCMP, Commissioner Lucki will be responsible for overseeing all RCMP activities, including preventing and investigating crime, maintaining peace and order, enforcing laws, contributing to national security, ensuring the safety of state officials, visiting dignitaries and foreign missions, and providing vital operational support services to other police and law enforcement agencies within Canada and abroad. She will also play a vital role in advancing reconciliation with Indigenous peoples, promoting gender equality and equity, supporting mental wellness across the RCMP, addressing workplace harassment, protecting the civil liberties of all Canadians. Au nom de notre gouvernement,
On behalf of
je
our
tiens aussi à
government,
remercier le
I would
commissaire
also
par
like to
intérim
thank
Daniel
the
Dubois
interim
pour son travail
Commissioner
et à
Daniel
souhaiter
Dubois for
la
his work
bienvenue à la
and,
commissaire désignée Lucki
welcome
dans ses nouvelles
the new
fonctions.
commissioner
Nous nous
to her new duties.
réjouissons de
We
travailler
are
avec elle à la
delighted to
protection
have an
de tous les
opportunity to
Canadiens,
work with her to
comme
protect
le veut
all
la
Canadians,
devise « Maintien
as the
le
motto
droit ».
goes, maintien le
I'll
droit.
hand things over to our Commissioner Designate now, but I'm looking forward to taking your questions in a few minutes. Thank you all. Commissioner Lucki.
Thank you, Prime Minister. Merci beaucoup. Prime Minister, Minister Goodale, honored guests, employees, cadets, friends, family. As the commanding officer of the RCMP Training Academy, I am very fortunate that almost every Monday I get to go to a graduation. And as my colleagues know, every Monday I start my speech with, "Wow, what a great day." And I can't think of anything better to say than right now is, "Wow, what a great day." I am so truly honored and so very humbled to be selected as the 24th Commissioner of the RCMP. Je suis vraiment très honorée et très touchée d'avoir été choisie comme 24e commissaire de la Gendarmerie royale du Canada. Prime Minister, I would like to thank you for having the confidence in me and, more importantly, for the support that you and Minister Goodale have shown and continue to show to my organization, to my RCMP. I always say my RCMP every day, but really it is our RCMP. For it's only together that we will continue to work towards a modern police service. It's only together that we can build and maintain relationships based on trust. And it's only together that we can build an RCMP that is reflective of our diverse population. I truly believe that if people see themselves reflected in their police organization, that they themselves may see a future for themselves within that service, within our organization. I have had the privilege of serving in many different communities with many different roles, and the common thread of my time during my career has always been people first. For it is our employees' strengths, their knowledge, their commitment, and their diversity that makes us an organization of excellence. When I graduated from Depot, obviously a much younger version than myself today, I dreamt of making a difference in the world. Throughout my career, I can honestly say that I have been very lucky to have worked with so many great leaders who have made many positive differences in my organization. I am so very grateful to the men and women who have guided me, mentored me, and believed in me, and who have forged the path to this very special day. Whew. In my role as commanding officer of Depot, I have had the opportunity to realize my dream. I was given a gift, the privilege of making a difference by training the best possible constables to make our community safer. A dream and a guiding principle that I will bring with me as the new commissioner. As commissioner, I will count on your support. I will not have all the answers, but I definitely plan on asking all the right questions, and maybe some difficult ones. En tant que commissaire, je n'aurai pas toutes les réponses, mais j'ai la ferme intention de poser toutes les bonnes questions.
To ask all the right questions.
I plan to challenge assumptions, seek explanations, and better understand the reasons how we operate. This means that no stone will be left unturned, and if what we find works, then we carry on until we unearth the issues that need addressing. I am confident that together we will meet our challenge head on and move forward to continue to modernize our organization. I would like to thank the Acting Commissioner Dan Dubois for leading the RCMP for the past 9 months, and I truly have appreciated his support, and I look forward to working with the senior management team in my new role. I am so very honored to stand before you, and as I look at these young officers, I am reminded of the tremendous responsibility that we all have to leave the force better than when we started. I can tell you that I have just as much passion and pride for my RCMP, our RCMP, now that I did the first day I donned my red serge right here in this very drill hall. I thank you for this opportunity, this gift, and I can assure you that I will do my very best to honor this responsibility with your support. Lead the RCMP to a bright and exciting future. Merci beaucoup. Thank you very much.
This is a great day for the RCMP, and it's a great day for Canada. Happy to take your questions now.
Mr. Prime Minister, yesterday Alberta Premier Rachel Notley had threatened to shut off the oil to BC. Wondering your response on that.
As I've said many times, the role of the federal government is to watch out and ensure that the national interest is always protected and promoted. That is what I will continue to do. We will continue to ensure that we are protecting the environment while growing the economy and working across the country to ensure that projects that are in the national interest, like the Kinder Morgan pipeline, move forward, while at the same time we protect our oceans and reduce our carbon emissions to ensure that we're both doing what is right on the environment and the economy at the same time. As a federal government, it is important to show leadership across the national interest, and that's exactly what we're going to continue to do.
Just a follow-up to that, does it spur you to be more aggressive in order to get the pipeline complete?
I think we've seen many times in which provinces take different perspectives on given projects. What I have been very clear about is this project is in the national interest and it will get built.
Prime Minister, my name is David Bowles with 620 CKRM. I guess my first question for you is, regarding the gender initiatives announced in last week's budget, how does this fit into it, and how proud are you to see something like this come forward so quickly?
Well, first of all, our budget is focused on fairness and equity, not just because it's the right thing to do, but because it's the smart thing to do. We know when women have better opportunities to succeed in organizations, in politics, in business, not only do we see better outcomes for them and their families, but we actually get better outcomes for those organizations and those businesses. In the case of the RCMP, I'm very pleased to be able to appoint the very best person for the job. In this case, we took our time to get this right. We had a search committee headed up by Frank McKenna. It consisted of many qualified, top-notch folks from the public service and across the country coming together to figure out who the best possible person to lead the RCMP would be. We had many extraordinary candidates, most of them from within the ranks of the RCMP, come forward. And I have to say, Commissioner Lucki demonstrated every step of the way absolutely exceptional talents, insights, understanding, and abilities. And I'm very, very excited about being able to appoint the absolute best person for the job to be Commissioner of the RCMP, who just happens to be a woman.
Well done.
Mr. Prime Minister, as Commissioner-elect Lucki mentioned, it's been about 9 months to make this permanent appointment. What took so long?
I think, as I said, it is extremely important that we get this right. As we've seen, there are many reflections that we have to have about the future of the force, how to continue to both protect and serve Canadians in the very best possible way, while at the same time honoring and supporting the incredible women and men who don this uniform every single day and put their lives on the line to serve our great country. Making sure that we have the right person to move forward on what will be some challenging reflections, but ultimately the right outcome to build a better future for Canadians, a better and stronger RCMP that will continue to serve this country and honor the great legacy of decades and generations past, but build a truly modern future that is inclusive, responsible, and able to do the double duty of both serving and protecting Canadians and upholding the highest standards of confidence and trust by Canadians in our national policing institution.
I guess a follow-up to that, to address those challenges, will there be more funding for the Commissioner and the RCMP?
There are many conversations to be had about changes and improvements to the RCMP. We were pleased to put significant amounts of new funding towards PTSD and mental health services for the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. We were also pleased to making significant investments in a growing area of policing concern in cybersecurity. There are many more conversations to be had, and I very much look forward to working both with our excellent Minister of Public Safety, Ralph Goodale, and of course the new Commissioner to figure out what exactly the RCMP needs and should have as we move forward on getting the very best for Canadians.
En français, s'il vous plaît.
Évidemment, j'ai été très fier de pouvoir annoncer des nouvelles mesures dans notre budget pour investir plus d'argent dans la GRC, particulièrement au niveau de la santé mentale et du stress post-traumatique, ainsi que d'investir en cybersécurité et d'autres questions qui vont être importantes dans la façon qu'on modernise et qu'on avance le travail des policiers dans les années à venir. Évidemment, je vais avoir beaucoup de conversations à avoir avec notre ministre de Sécurité publique, Ralph Goodale, et la nouvelle commissaire pour bâtir un avenir pour la GRC et pour les Canadiens qui sera là-bas.
Stephanie Taylor, CBC. Mr. Prime Minister, what concerns do you have about the impact the RCMP's handling of the Colton Boushie shooting is having on the public's perception of this force across the country?
Obviously, we are all aware that reconciliation is a process that needs to touch all Canadians and all institutions across our country. Whether it's policing, whether it's our judicial system, whether it's education, whether it's economic development or health, there is a tremendous amount of work that we need to do on reconciliation. And it's not just about institutions or the federal government and Indigenous peoples. It involves deeply non-Indigenous Canadians as well to move forward in true partnership and true respect in building the kind of future that we know we need for all Canadians, including and especially Métis Nation, Inuit and First Nations peoples. The reflections that we have going forward on improving our justice system, improving the institutions that serve all Canadians, including Indigenous peoples, will continue. We know there are tremendous challenges out there, but we also know that there is both the will and the ability to address these challenges that have gone on for generations and for centuries in some cases, but that are beginning to end now with this true path of reconciliation that we are all on.
Just to follow up to that, you said the criminal justice system as a whole has to do better. Can you name specifically how can the RCMP do better for Indigenous peoples in this country?
Well, the work, for example, that new Commissioner-designate Lucki has done in northern Manitoba as part of her work in bringing together reconciliation within communities and the RCMP right across the country, that work has been done to better create understanding, collaboration, partnerships. Obviously, bringing new Indigenous peoples through the ranks of the RCMP, moving forward as the Minister of Public Safety Ralph is doing on First Nations policing. There are significant investments across the country made that will create for better partnerships as well. There are a broad range of things that we need to do, and we're going to continue to do them. A lot of it happens through working hand in hand, listening, respecting, partnership. That approach is certainly something that I know the Commissioner is going to put at the heart of the way she approaches Indigenous peoples in country and indeed all Canadians. Je sais qu'il y a beaucoup de travail à faire par rapport à la réconciliation. Nos institutions, particulièrement la GRC, ont eu une longue histoire, parfois très négative par rapport au peuple autochtone. Et c'est avec un désir de nouveaux partenariats, une emphase sur la réconciliation, le partenariat, la collaboration, le respect que nous allons avancer. C'est quelque chose qui est en train de se transformer à l'intérieur de nos forces policières, la GRC en particulier, mais ça va continuer, on sait qu'il y a beaucoup de travail encore à faire.
Prime Minister Sarah Mills, 980 CJME, 650 CKOM. I'm just wondering if you regret your tweet about the Gerald Stanley verdict in the days and weeks since, given that that tweet faced criticism from lawyers and legal experts in Canada. It's hard enough to get people to serve on juries, emotional cases, and to see a tweet that appears to disparage a verdict they came to with the evidence in front of them. Do you regret that tweet now, and what do you have to say about it?
I think it is impossible to look at the situation in our justice system and not recognize that our system has not fairly treated Indigenous people over the past decades, over the past centuries even. And I'm not, and I will not comment on any specific case, but if you look at the number of Indigenous peoples who are incarcerated versus the numbers in our population, if you look at the representation on juries, if you look at the kinds of challenges systemically within our institutions, within our justice system that need to be addressed, it is impossible to recognize that we have not. It is impossible to recognize that we have not failed Indigenous peoples in the administration of justice in this country, and that is why we are pledging to do better. To recognize these challenges is the first step, but then to move forward, as we will in the coming weeks, on concrete measures to improve outcomes within our justice system, improve relations with Indigenous peoples in this country. This is something that all Canadians, I know, Indigenous and non-Indigenous, care about deeply. Everyone wants to see reduced crime. Everyone wants to see greater opportunities for Indigenous young people. Everyone wants to see opportunities for every single Canadian, Indigenous and non-Indigenous, to live fulfilled, happy, successful lives, contributing and strong in their identities and their story. That is something we are all going to work on together.
And as a follow-up then, when you have an RCMP that are accused all the time of being racist, when not every single officer is a racist, when you have a province here with farmers saying they'll take up arms, when you have First Nations saying maybe their own police forces, when it takes an hour in rural areas to get a response, how do you fix that, Prime Minister?
I think the first part is to make sure that we do have real consultations and real conversations about the fears people have, the concerns people have, and work together to begin to allay them. There are real challenges we're facing, and not just in rural Canada. Urban Canada is facing challenges, whether it's the Black community or others. We know there are things that we need to address around the justice system and Canadians to make Canadians feel safe, in their daily lives to ensure that we have the capacity to keep people safe in our institutional approaches that are grounded in respect and partnership with everyone as we move forward. There is an awful lot of work to do, and I know that it is a job that the new commissioner is going to relish with all the challenges it'll bring. She has strong partners in police forces across the country, but she also has a strong partner in the federal government and in provincial governments who look forward to working to address these deep systemic challenges in a broad range of Canadians.
Colt Prale, Global News. Mr. Prime Minister, the RCMP is facing allegations of discrimination, sexual harassment. What sort of impact do you think this will have in appointing a commissioner who is a woman and who has First Nations profile experience? What sort of impact do you think that'll have on the culture of the RCMP?
Well, I think we recognize that the RCMP is a storied Canadian institution that is a source of pride for many people, that in recent years has faced deep challenges. Challenges, as you say, as Ralph pointed out, around harassment, around delivering of strong and adequate services in every corner of the country in the right ways. We know we have a lot of work to do, and I am tremendously confident that the capabilities, the abilities that Brenda Lucki has demonstrated throughout her career in serving our country are going to be exactly what we need to move forward in a thoughtful, responsible way to restore the RCMP to the full position of trust that it really should have in the eyes of all Canadians. Will take a lot of work, but I know it's work that our new commissioner is looking forward to and more than capable of doing with, of course, the support of all of us.
Quick follow-up. The 2017 independent review said the RCMP lacked the will to make those changes. Does Brenda Lucki's appointment change that?
I will tell you that there have been many reports in recent years on the RCMP. We will, of course, be looking at them all carefully and moving forward on a broad range of the recommendations brought forward. But there is no question that the vision that Brenda Lucki has for the RCMP, and indeed for Canadians, is one that I am very, very excited about, am entirely in agreement with, and I look forward to working with her to improve safety, security, and services for all Canadians throughout this country. Merci beaucoup. Évidemment, il y a eu beaucoup de rapports dans les dernières années sur ce qu'on peut faire pour la GRC pour améliorer son fonctionnement et la façon qu'il travaille et qu'elle travaille. Et donc, je suis très content de pouvoir souligner que la nouvelle commissaire Brenda Lucki partage tout à fait ma vision pour un meilleur Canada, une meilleure force policière nationale. Nous allons travailler ensemble pour livrer sur les attentes extrêmement élevées de tous les Canadiens par rapport à la GRC. Merci beaucoup pour votre attention. I'm now going to go check on some of our members who've been serving well. Merci beaucoup. Thank you all. And thank you all.